My name is April Bedard, and I'm an artist. I really believe that everybody is an artist in their own way, and I've always made art. In high school, I did a lot more, and then my degree is in art education, so definitely did a lot of art in college. And then I taught. I taught second grade, and then I did an all the arts program where I'd go into different classrooms and teach art to elementary school age children. So loved that. And then in the last few years, I've just been making my own art. People always ask, how do I do it? Characters just kind of appear. They really do just like flow out of the brush or jump out of the pencil. I don't know. I love ink. I love watercolor, acrylic. The acrylic like gives you like such great color, like vibrant colors. Or like whatever materials I'm choosing, it'll just kind of be what I'm feeling.
Hello, my name's Jada Fonseca. I'm a multimedia artist working primarily in sculpture. I specifically like stop motion animation, and I want to get in that field specifically within fabrication aspect, and then eventually working my way up to make my own stories and make my own film someday. A lot of my materials are secondhand. I like breathing life into like abandoned things, I suppose. Like the piece that I'm working on this weekend was found in the dumpster, and a lot of the textiles are recycled from like thrift stores, and leaning into that I get inspiration a lot from like antique stores and like all the little old things left on shelves. They're like, it's really old, but you're like, what's the story behind it? So I like bringing that into my artwork. Not only is I'm making new stories, but also the materiality of it is like, oh, I wonder what that is. Every morning in kindergarten specifically, I'd wake up and rummage through the recycling bin and be like, oh, look at this cardboard. Let's make a little guy. Let's make a little character. So as I grew up and was watching movies, I started like observing more. I was like, this is handmade. That's phenomenal. Let me do that. So I'd like make little dioramas, and then I'd be like, oh, how can I animate this? When I went to school, I originally went for animation, but unfortunately my school didn't focus a lot on stop motion, and it was like a lot of 3D, a lot of like 2D, which is cool in its own sense, but I always gravitated towards like the tactility of stop motion. So I was like, oh, let me do fabrication, let me get into sculpture, and that's also getting into my roots, I guess. It's kind of like a full circle moment where I was like, I started with sculpture, then I wanted to do stop motion, and then in order to do stop motion, I wanted to go back to sculpture. So it was just like a fun little journey.
My name is Lex Harvey, and I grew up in the beach cities in LA, and I've lived there. I've actually lived all over, but I've lived there for most of my life. I work mostly on canvas and paper, and I work mostly in paint, but not always. My work sometimes includes plaster, it includes tape, it includes weird craft materials like feathers or like craft ladybugs or, just like a lot of strange things like that. Just to keep it, I guess, shifting. I don't like to commit to just 2 dimensions, even though I mostly live there. So I guess my practice deals a lot with impermanence. I like to create an image that shifts either visually or in the viewer's mind and experience. I don't ever want to make something that stays one thing. So to have a viewer be able to experience the work and see something different every time, or feel something different, or experience something different every time, that is when I've created a successful piece of work. It's different all the time. Sometimes I start out with a very clear vision, and it goes straight from sketchbook to canvas, or even just right to canvas. And then sometimes, most of the time, the process is a little bit more reciprocal. I start out with either some words or an idea or a feeling or impression, and I start a work and we just talk back and forth to each other until it feels complete. So the work that I was working on this weekend goes back to a process I've been using since undergrad, which is to take previous work that I've done, either scraps or fully what I thought were finished pieces, and chop them up, move them around, change them, continue them, destroy them and build them back up. And I think that ties back into my interest in impermanence and shifting experience. And I've always been really interested in memory and how with like the plasticity of memory with each retrieval, you change your own memories. And so I think that taking work and re-experiencing it and recreating it has a strange tie to how we experience memory, and that's something I've always been interested in. This weekend I took a piece from my undergraduate thesis show, and it was a huge piece. It was 5-foot piece in the beginning, and I have been chopping it up and reconstituting it for the past almost 10 years. So it's this one painting has been at least 5 paintings. And then also I reworked a self-portrait I did about the same time, about 10 years ago, of myself as a mermaid. And I was able to rework that with different materials, and that was really fun too.
My name is Loza, and I'm an artist born in Mexico, and I live in Long Beach. My artwork is very specific to the material because for me, the concept or the idea that usually drives like how I approach like image making. Mm-hmm. And so in that way it allows me to kind of be flexible in sourcing out different materials and even different processes and how to like finally execute like my idea. And so for me, like lately I've been into like printmaking and even use of like graphic image, and also seeing how that translates to an installation piece. Mm-hmm. as well. To me, I kind of take like the resourcefulness that I have from like my parents. I feel very much like a general contractor when it comes to like art making, where it's like you have to find ways to be efficient and productive and do good work. And so I kind of mirror that along with like, the connecting it to like art history and, other artistic practices. And so for myself, it's like I feel motivated to make a lot of work because it's fun. For me, it's how I filter the world through my lens. And it's like, okay, how do I take something that I might not understand or something I want to learn about? And for me, using visual art helps me understand that and kind of give it back to the community or to like my surroundings. I feel that I've been fortunate enough to like grow up in a neighborhood like in Long Beach where I had access to public art like as a kid. And as a kid, you don't realize how lucky you are to have that. How I was exposed to like seeing how like muralists worked with community and how it became hand in hand. So to me, it's like it feels natural to me. Growing up and seeing how like an artist can diverge from that, for me, I feel still like very much connected to it. And for me, it's like also a way of like creating like these artistic interventions of like, well, what is the artwork? Is it just like you making something in your studio, or is it like activating a space, activating community? But at the same time, I like it because it's like every time I do a workshop, you have participants that like they bring in their own knowledge, and so it's like a double feedback loop where you're like you're learning, you're teaching, and at the same time you're learning, and the roles shift. And I appreciate it because it also like plays with the sense of like hierarchy in society about like who's the teacher, who's the student, and like what knowledge we seem as like valuable versus others. And to me, it kind of breaks that, where it's like, oh, you're doing a community workshop, and like you run into people that are like, oh, I've been doing this for years, but it's not, it's not what I do because I have to make a living doing something else. And so to me, like that's the magic, where like, oh my goodness, like you get to like learn, and then you find a way to incorporate that into your practice too, because you see yourself. I think it's like, for me, it's like I see myself in like the people I work with and the community, and that makes it feel like even more rewarding, because it takes the work outside of like your own sphere, and it kind of like expands it.
Advice for upcoming artists: yes, just keep going for as long as you want to. If you want to keep going, then keep at it, and something will happen. And also too, like, take breaks. If you don't want to do it right now, like, take a break. Like, over all the years of painting and trying to make work, like, that has been the one thing, is just sticking with it, whether I'm making good work or bad work, or I'm showing or I'm not showing, or I have a community or I don't have a community. Just sticking with it in whatever way is available to me when I want to do it. I guess that would be my biggest piece of advice, is like, just listen to yourself.
Just practice and play. Like, playing is so huge, and I think we think sometimes, like, we need to practice, like, a technique, or like following what another artist does and like do what they have done. But play is just like having fun with, like, choosing material and just have fun with it and see what happens. And I think that way your own style will just appear one day, and something you make you'll just really enjoy, like, that process or whatever. So my advice is just to not take it too seriously and have fun. Yeah.
Be true to yourself as an artist. Like, never like, oh, I want to make this, but I don't think anyone would like it. That doesn't matter. Who cares what other people like? You want to make whatever you want. Don't be afraid to explore different mediums or like different paths as well. Like, I've had a lot of random jobs. I was a scare actor, and I worked as a horticulturist doing like hedge trimmings and different prop designs. So just essentially take wherever the wind takes you. Like, don't be afraid to branch out and try different things, because if you're passionate about it, then it's really fun.
I would say that the thing I really find valuable is like finding a community of people that either you admire, mentors, or just other creatives like yourselves, people that like are encouraging, that listen, but that also like help you in your own growth. Because I feel like everybody's artistic journey is very different, and I think one of the defaults can be judging yourself based on like other people's like progress or experience, and that can be really heavy. And so for myself, I see like you just have to pretty much be better than you were, and at the same time it's like find a way to have forward momentum, and that momentum can be like little steps or running, but as long as you're kind of moving and making some sort of progress, that's all that matters. Because at the same time, it's like it'll depend on like each person.